Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be going over what to buy and what to avoid this week in GTA Online. Now I did a what to buy and what to avoid video earlier in the week, but that was exclusively for the new content that was released with the Agents of Sabotage DLC. However, we got an update week regularly this week in Online as well, and I did want to go over the discounted items, the discounted properties, vehicles, everything like that, as well as the bonus money and all that good stuff for the remainder of this week, which of course is lasting until next Thursday. And next Thursday, I do believe we will be getting the snow in GTA Online as well. So anyways, this is what to buy and what to avoid this week. If you want to know about the new Agents of Sabotage stuff, you should go and watch the other what to buy and what to avoid for that particular DLC item sort of related stuff. And I will leave a link to that in the description down below of this video if you do want to check that out, as well as I will put the thumbnail on screen right here as well so you can see what it looks like in case you see it on your recommended or whatever and you want to watch it. But anyways, without further ado, the car sitting here behind me is the Benefactor Krieger. It is discounted this week, as well as a ton of other new vehicles. And another cool feature about the Benefactor Krieger is that it has had Imani Tech missile lock-on jammers added to it, so you can equip it with those within the agency vehicle workshop, which is pretty cool, among a bunch of other cars that have also had the same thing added to them. But anyways, the Krieger, it's an awesome supercar, really good, one of the best supercars in the game, really good handling, pretty good top speed, great acceleration, pretty good looking, not a whole lot in the way of customization though, but overall it is a very good vehicle nonetheless. But anyways, we got to talk about how to make some money this week in GTA Online, and we do only really have one or two bonuses, so I will just go over those quickly. The Stockpile Adversary mode is on double money and double RP for the remainder of this week. I cannot remember ever playing this, but I think it looks pretty fun, judging by the pictures for the game at least. So I would say I do recommend trying this out. Maybe I will be trying this out this week as well. Now we do also have a challenge this week, and that is to complete 2 FIB finales to receive $100,000 in GTA Online. This is of course referring to the new garment factory business. It is asking you to complete 2 of the files in order to get 100 grand. So if you want an extra 100 grand, that's how you can get it. Other than that, we just have a ton of discounts and some really good discounts at that. So let's go ahead and get started. Starting off on the Arena War website, the workshop is discounted this week and it is 30% off. So you can change things around in here with the workshop graphics as well as the workshop color. Everything else though is just going to be the regular price. So unfortunately no changing of this stuff is going to be discounted. It's just the workshop itself. On Maze Bank foreclosures, the downtown Vinewood bail office is discounted this week and it is going to be 30% off. The 8-bit arcade, which is the one that I have here on Vinewood Boulevard, is also discounted this week by 30% off. The Farmhouse Bunker, which is regarded as the best bunker location, is also discounted this week and it is also 30% off. The Fort Zancudo Hangar A2 is discounted this week as well. It is also 30% off. Shocking, I know. The La Mesa Auto Shop is discounted this week as well, 30% off again. The Hawick Motorcycle Clubhouse is discounted this week as well, 30% off again. The La Puerta Salvage Yard is discounted as well, again 30% off. The Land Act Reservoir Facility is also discounted 30% off this week. The West Vinewood Nightclub is also 30% off. The Diamond Casino Penthouse is 30% off as well. The Eclipse Towers Penthouse Suite 3 is 30% off. On the Dynasty 8 Executive Realty website, the Hawick Agency is 30% off, as well as the Maze Bank Tower. And in addition to this, the Murrieta Heights Vehicle Cargo Warehouse is also 30% off as well. So some absolutely insane discounts there, which is pretty crazy. Now, of course, we have to talk about which ones you should buy and which ones you should not buy. Now, 30% off for the initial businesses themselves is quite a steal. However, the upgrades are still going to cost you the regular price. So if you wanted to, you could potentially purchase the locations for all of these businesses and purchase the upgrades at a later date whenever they go on sale. Or of course you can purchase these now, save your 30% on the initial price, and then just fork over the extra money for the upgrades. It's pretty much up to you. Doing it that way is going to save you a lot of time. You're not going to have to wait around for like 6 months for all the properties to go on discount. So if you do want to do that, I mean, now is definitely a good time to do so. Quickly, we're going to go through which ones of these are good. The Arena Workshop is only really worth buying if you want to customize arena vehicles. So if you don't care about customizing arena vehicles, I would not buy it. The Downtown Vinewood Bail Office is shit because it's a terrible business, so I don't really recommend buying that. The 8-Bit Arcade is a perfectly good location, and if you do want an arcade, it's a good one to get for sure. The Farmhouse Bunker is the best bunker location in the entire game. You should buy one if you do not have one. Fort Zancudo Hangar A2 is decent. It's not the most expensive one in Fort Zancudo, but you can get the cheaper one as well, and honestly they're all the same, so there's really not much point. Unless you just want to get into a Fort Zancudo hangar, or for some reason you specifically want A2, now is definitely a good time to buy it, I guess. The Hawk Agency is regarded as one of the better agency locations. However, the reason that people don't really buy it too often is because it comes at a cost premium, but being that this is 30% off, I don't see why you should not buy a Hawk Agency unless you already have an agency currently. The La Mesa Auto Shop is one of the better locations for an auto shop. Not necessarily the best, not the worst. You could buy it if you're interested in getting into an auto shop. The La Puerta Salvage Yard location is not that great. Out of the locations that are available for the salvage yard, the Strawberry location is far superior to it. So I would recommend getting Strawberry and not getting La Puerta, even though it is on discount. The Land Act Reservoir Facility is a somewhat decent facility location, although it is kind of a pain in the ass to get to, and unless you care about doing the Doomsday Heist or getting some of the armored vehicles like the Kanjali, for example, I don't really think it's super worth buying a facility. But if you do want one, I mean, it is discounted and it is one of the sort of better locations at the least. Mazebank Tower has always been overpriced, and you should just buy the Arcadius Business Center. It's cheaper anyways. If you have another location currently and you want to change over, I mean, now is definitely a good time to do so, but there's not really an advantage to Mazebank Tower over Arcadius, so I would just get Arcadius, and it's cheaper than Mazebank Tower is, even on a 30% discount, which is kind of crazy. The Murrieta Heights Vehicle Warehouse is kind of useless because vehicle cargo sucks as a business, and you can go ahead and write that comment, but it's a fact, I'm sorry. It's pretty good, I guess, if you're a very low level, but once you get some of the other businesses, there's really no point in doing it. I don't really recommend getting the Murrieta Heights Vehicle Warehouse. I just don't think it's worth it. The Eclipse Towers Penthouse number 3, I don't think is worth it either. It's just not really that awesome, but if you do want it, I mean, I guess you can get it. The Diamond Casino Master Penthouse is not a good purchase, really, unless you want access to the 10-car garage, but I still don't really think it's worth it for most people. However, the West Vinewood Nightclub is actually a very good location for the nightclub, and I would say that I do recommend picking that up if you guys are in the market for a nightclub. However, if you already own a nightclub, I wouldn't necessarily move. Okay, and now that we're finally done with the business discounts, we have more vehicle discounts than we had business discounts, which is kind of crazy. So anyway, let's go ahead and start off with those. Starting off on Warstock Cash and Carry, the Terrorbyte is 20% off, and obviously it does have some new upgrades and things that are available for it. So you may want to consider buying a Terrorbyte if you do not have one already. It is a pretty good vehicle, and I do think with the new upgrades, if you do of course have the Darnell Bros Garment Factory, it is very much worth purchasing now. Alright, and on Legendary Motorsport, starting off, we have the Overflawed Pipistrello, discounted by 30% off. Not a bad discount necessarily, however, not a very fantastic car. It does have some nice customization, but it is fully electric. Overall, I'm not a super huge fan of it, but it's not the worst supercar of all time, that's for sure. We also have the Pfister Comet S2 Cabrio, discounted this week. It's not a good car, you should not buy one. The Pfister Comet S2 is also discounted this week, and it is also not a good car, and you should not buy one if you enjoy driving. It does not handle very well. However, it does have an insane amount of customization, same with the S2 Cabrio, but both of them do handle absolutely terribly, but the customization is pretty fantastic on both of them, so that is something to consider for sure. But overall, I feel like the driving experience with either of the cars is not very good, and I would say to avoid picking up both of them unless you just want to have it as a car to customize and not so much to drive. The Dink Adjuster RR is also discounted this week. I would say that this is actually a fairly good discount, and it does come with quite a bit of customization, and for just over $1 million, it is one of the sort of better tuner DLC cars that can be used in those tuners subcategory races. Overall, it's a pretty decent car for just over $1 million. Why not? The Lampadati Tagon is also on sale again from last week, except obviously it's been added back onto the websites, which is pretty cool. For this price, you really cannot go wrong with it. It's a very fun car to drive. It has some nice customization and it sounds pretty awesome. Handling's good, acceleration's decent, top speed is decent. Overall, it is a pretty good car. I would say I do recommend it. The Pegassi Zaruso is one of the faster Pegassi vehicles in the game. However, it is quite ugly and there's not much that you can do about that. It does kind of look like an anteater a little bit, and honestly, I really don't think it's that fantastic. I think you're probably going to be disappointed with it, so I would advise you to not purchase it. We also have the Benefactor Krieger that I showed right at the start of the video for just over $2 million, and for that price I do feel like this thing is a bit of a steal. I would buy one of these very honestly. The Visser Neo has also been added back onto the website, same with the Annis S80RR. The Visser Neo is not a very awesome car to drive in my opinion, at least. I've never been overly impressed by it. The customization is not that awesome either, but you may want to consider purchasing it just because of the novelty of it being back on the websites. For most players though, I'd say to avoid this and instead purchase the Annis S80RR because this is one of the very best supercars in the entire game. It directly rivals the Benefactor LM87, and even with the LM87 speed glitch, the Annis S80RR can put up a pretty good fight. However, this is just a one-seater, so that is something to keep in mind. If you play with other people, you might want to consider buying something else. But overall, the S80 is pretty awesome performance-wise, and customization-wise, there is a little bit that you can do as well. Next up, we got the Pfister Comet SR. This thing's got quite a bit of customization for a car as old as it is. It sounds fantastic, and it is actually one of the faster sports cars in the game. Not the fastest, it's probably not going to win you any races, but it is a fun car to drive around in free mode. It has exceptionally good handling with pretty good looks, I would say, decent acceleration, and a pretty good top speed. It's a pretty fantastic car for only $801,500. You should buy one. We also have the Coil Cyclone and the Osla XA21 added back onto the websites. The Coil Cyclone is an interesting car, not the greatest car ever. It is fully electric, but it does have pretty good handling, which is kind of odd for an electric car in GTA. The customization is not the best, but it's also not the worst. For just over 1.3 mil, it's kind of a hit or miss for me. I'm not 100% sure if I should recommend it or not. I think for most players, you'd be a lot happier with the Osla XA21. It has the best engine sound in the entire game, especially for a supercar. It has an active rear spoiler, much more customization than the Coil Cyclone, and overall I do think that it looks a lot better. The XA21 is definitely my pick out of these two for sure. It's a really cool car, and also all these discounted vehicles do have the missile lock-on jammer available for them. I will just preface this by saying that right now. We also have the Annis RE7B. I don't really recommend purchasing this thing. I'd get an S80 over this for sure. It is an older generation race car. It does have pretty good downforce, but the performance is just not that awesome, especially in comparison to the Annis S80RR and the Benefactor LM87. I would definitely take both of those cars before I would pick up an Annis RE7B, unfortunately. The Declassi Vigoro ZX is also discounted this week by 30% off. This is a pretty fantastic car, and it is HSW capable for those of you that have the new gen, where you can put HSW on vehicles. It has a pretty high top speed in the 160 mile per hour range, and as far as muscle cars go, it does not have the worst handling I've ever experienced, while also having pretty good customization and generally pretty good looks. Overall, I think this is probably worth picking up this week. We also have the Karen Futo GTX discounted this week. It is, in my opinion, what is the best drift tunable car in the entire game. I think it's easiest to drift. I think it fits in more places, which means you're going to crash less. And for $834,000, if you want a really good drift car, this is a great car to buy. It also has a ton of customization, which is really cool. For other people that don't really care about drifting, I would say absolutely avoid the vehicle. We also have the Willard Eudora discounted this week for $875K. If you're into older cars, this is one you may want to consider picking up. However, for most people, I don't really think it's going to be super worth it. However, you can use it in taxi work, which is pretty cool once you unlock the taxi livery for it. And that can help you to earn money a lot faster with taxi fares, so that might be something to consider for some of you. Alright, and that's it for the discounts on the websites. Now it is of course time to go to all of the dealerships, the car meet, the casino, and everything like that, and talk about the vehicles that are available to be won this week, as well as the vehicles available in the dealerships. Within the casino, we have the Lampadati Cinque Mila available to be won. This is definitely a car that you should try to win. This is one of the best sedans in the game. It also has a fantastic exhaust note and quite a bit of customization as well. Within the LS car meet, the Enos Jubilee is available to be won this week, and in order to win it, you are going to have to place top 3 for 3 days in a row, which is really easy. You guys should definitely try to win the Jubilee. It has a Monty Tech missile, lock-on jammer, armor plating, oil slicks, front-mounted machine guns, and bullet-resistant windows, so it's a must-have for sure. Within the LS car meet, we have the Pagasi Zarusa, which is newly added back. We also have the Nagasaki Hot Rod Blazer and the Dubachi 770. The Dubachi 770 is also discounted this week. It is 30% off, which of course means that it is going to be going for $486,500 for the remainder of the week. The Nagasaki Hot Rod Blazer is going to be $69,000 for you guys, and the Zarusa is $1,347,500. Which is not bad. The Zarusa, like I said, not very awesome. The Hot Rod Blazer, it's not very awesome either, but the Dubachi 770 is a pretty cool car. For under 500k, you really can't go wrong with it. Not a lot in the way of customization, but it is a pretty great looking car if you do ask me. Alright, and within Simeon's, we have a few removed vehicles in here. We're going to start off with the Dinka Chavos V6, which is brand new. Yeah, I don't really recommend it. It's part of the new DLC. If you want to know more about it, go check out the other video, but yeah. We also have the Vapid Contender in here available for $250,000. This thing's absolutely phenomenal for that price, and you should definitely have one. For 250k, you cannot go wrong. Buy a Vapid Contender for sure. We also have the Vapid Retinue in here, which is not a bad car by any stretch, and it goes for 453 grand. For that price, honestly, you might as well have one. It's a pretty cool car. The Ocelot Swinger is also available in here today as well, which is pretty cool for $933,000. It used to be one of the best sports classic cars for racing, but honestly, I don't really think it is anymore. I think that there's quite a few vehicles that overshadow it now. So in terms of racing, it's not really worth having. However, it is a pretty cool looking classic. So if you are interested in that sort of thing, you may want to consider picking it up. But for most people, I would say you probably don't want to buy it. And of course, we also have the Shyster Deviant as well, which is a removed muscle car, and it goes for $535,000, which is kind of a little steep in my opinion. Honestly, it's a little overpriced. Still a pretty cool car though. Not much in the way of customization though, which is unfortunate. The Shyster Deviant is one I would say you could probably avoid. And before I forget, the Dubachi JB700 Weaponized, the actual weaponized variant, is discounted this week by 30% off. This of course does have the front-mounted machine guns, and now it has the missile lock-on jammer available for it as well. So if you are interested in this even remotely, I do think now is a pretty good time to buy it. Pretty cool car, and with the missile lock-on jammer now, it is a lot more viable in my opinion at least. Within luxury autos, we have two of the new DLC vehicles. On the left, we have the Bravado Banshee GTS with stock black wheels. So if you guys do want black wheels that are stock, this is how you can get one right now, is by purchasing your GTS through here. And of course, we also have the Dinka Chester RR wide body, which I absolutely hate, and you should never ever buy one. Within the chop shop, these are the vehicles that are available to be stolen this week, and unfortunately none of them are claimable, which does kind of suck a lot. In order to get the Enos Jubilee, which is the top tier vehicle for the week, you will need to complete the Gangbanger robbery. In order to get the Invitero Coquette Blackfin, you will need to complete the Duggan robbery, and in order to get the Canis Seminole Frontier, you'll need to complete the McToney robbery. And of course, last but not least, we have the time trials to go over as well. Your RC Bandito time trial for the week is Little Soul Park. Your Junk Energy time trial for the week is El Barro Heights. Your regular time trial is LSIA, and your HSW time trial is Del Perro to Murrieta Heights. Anyway guys, that has been it for what to buy and what to avoid this week in GTA Online. Obviously pretty insane discounts on cars as well as select properties. Honestly shocked that we got so many discounts within this week, but it is pretty cool nonetheless, and I'm definitely appreciating it, even with all the new DLC stuff out as well. Anyway guys, if you made it to the end of the video, comment a 7 down below, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, if not dislike of course. Consider subscribing to my channel if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.